segment in our playing over changes series, and it's worth noting at this point that the sequence we're playing over isn't something that I've just contrived to make a point or make something sound complicated or whatever it is. We're dealing with real life situations here. So this is a real life chord sequence. It was on a song by Eric Clapton called Bell Bottom Blues. It's very important we do that because we don't want to be doing some mystery scale and then never have anywhere we can use it. That's a complete waste of time, really. Moving on from where we were then, we've had C going to E7 and coming back to A minor. So the next logical step in this sequence is going to be for us to look at what happens when we go from A minor to C7. Okay, now this is a very interesting change because it's actually a slightly different situation and a different approach than we've talked about so far. So this is a sequence where we don't necessarily have to change scale at all. Okay, now that sounds a fairly straightforward line. It comes to life with the chord changes behind it. Okay, so you can hear that's very effective, and arguably there's nothing wrong with playing that at all, and if that's where your ear tells you to go, then that's great. No problem with that at all. But what I'm going to look at here is a couple of ways that you could actually broaden that sound out a little bit. Now, one of these I think is very simple. One of them is reasonably simple but more involved. So I'm going to take them one at a time. We're going to start with simple. Okay. What we've got is A minor going to C7. Now, C and A minor are much the same thing, so that's why in that first little example we could stay within the same scale and still get the phrase which manages to fit over the chords. Now, that's fine, but there's a difference between it fitting over the chords and actually articulating that change. So that's what I'm going to be looking at here, is how do we make it absolutely unmistakable that a C7th has just happened. Well, okay, here I'm playing in A minor. Now this is the very last thing you'd expect to play in an A minor. It's a B flat. It sounds awful, but not if you've got a C7th behind it. Okay, and this chord shape is the reference I was using when I played. It's back to that idea of picture a chord shape in your head. Okay. Okay, so what have we got here? Well, C7th again. So here's a little graphic showing you where that C7th is. Okay, most important notes in that graphic, arguably, is this one and this one, because they're the ones which aren't going to be present in A minor, so it articulates the change. Okay, now in previous examples of playing changes, we've gone back over them and we just tried playing those changes. It's a good idea to do that. But if we play A minor here, okay, well, here's not the only place we could play C7th, is it? We could play C7th here. Now, with the luxury, if you want to call it that, of having played over E7 in this particular shape, an A shape, we've already got some ideas as to what we could play over that. So the same thing will will work over that C7. So this is why it's crucially important. This takes me back to another, I'll call it an old video. This is still a pretty new channel really. But one of the early videos I did was on thinking about there only really being 3 chord shapes, E, A and C, and it's really worth a watch of that video, because then you can transfer stuff. You know, this is why when the Beatles went, the same things happen in the same chord shapes, and the geography is the same, and the stuff you can use is pretty much the same, so you can transfer ideas and then hopefully build on them and refine them still further. So okay, that sounds a lot, but it's really, really important. So, okay, A minor to C7. Now, if you look at the notes that are here, these two here, 3rd fret of the 6th and 5th strings, 5th fret of the 4th string, 5th fret of the 2nd string, they're all part of a C major pentatonic, or if you want to call it that, are A minor pentatonic. What isn't is, again, this B flat. Now, we don't have to carry too much theory around, we just have to think about the chord shape. Is there anywhere else we could get it? Well, as with our E7, we could play that, couldn't we? So well. Okay, so here's a very, very simple example of using that chord shape. You don't have to play anything complicated. I could play this. You can hear that? Yeah. Again, it doesn't have to be complicated, but you do need to know where you're going. Okay, now I think that's enough for this particular video. I'm going to come to what else we could do with a C7th in the next one. But as ever, the point of this is play your A minor, get from A minor to C7th. Okay, and make sure you can hear that C7th has happened. Now, if you can do that, then you can start building on what you could play in the C7th, as we did with the previous changes. Okay, as ever, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next segment. Bye for now.